It's 4:30 here on Today. Thank you for staying with us. Now, water scarcity in Africa is a dire situation and is only getting worse as Africa's population continues to grow and climate change continues to rob the continent of this precious resource. Siemens says Africa needs to re-evaluate the region's water infrastructure and take steps towards achieving Africa's vision for 2025, which aims to unleash the full potential of the region's water resources. They believe that digitization is a game changer in enabling water utilities to become more efficient and effective by offering remote monitoring. For more, we're joined by Siemens Sub-Saharan Africa CEO Sabine Dall'Omo. Good afternoon to you, Sabine, and thank you so much for joining us. Talk us through the digitization and water security, especially in areas where infrastructure may not even be existing in parts of the continent.
Well, thank you first of all for having me today, and it's a great pleasure to be on here. So look at the water infrastructure, particular in Africa, is of great concern. And what we do see is that, as you mentioned already, through climate change, water becomes more scarce. And we need to also, when we want to have economic activity in countries, we need to ensure that water is available, and not only for human consumption, but also for productive consumption. So when we look at the current infrastructure on the African continent, there are quite a number of countries which don't have the infrastructure. And to a large extent, also the knowledge about how to manage water is not necessarily given, because it's largely taken from rivers or from dams. And we have seen over the last years, when we had already in the previous 2016 to 2018, when we have the drought in specifically Sub-Saharan Africa and here in the southern tip of Africa, we have seen that many cities and also regions invested into dam management, into proper water management, making sure that access is given to the population. And here, for instance, if you look at Botswana, they invested quite a number of initiatives into their dam management, into water meter management, also people paying for the water which they are using. And this was only possible because they use digital technology for once to manage dam levels, and also to know, what our water patterns and water consumptions are going to be, specifically on the basis of temperatures, evaporation, but also rainfall, which is coming in, and when blockages out of that potentially can occur. And you can, through digital and artificial intelligence, forecast exactly what's going to happen, so that you can take measures days and weeks before a shortage could occur, so that communities can be served with drinking water, and it's not an interruption where it's happened just suddenly. And one of the biggest aspects which we see specifically also in communities or in cities, that a lot of water is lost because it's not paid for, it's lost in the system. And so if you look at some of the municipalities in South Africa, they have more than 60% of their water is not even reaching the consumer, meaning that economic activity cannot be guaranteed. And so helping the municipalities to identify leaks detection, but also proper collection of the water they have then later on sold to the consumer in order to have revenue for the community is another aspect which you can digitalize and have the technology to ensure that the community as well as the municipality have income, and the community obviously has the service.
Yes, Sabine, just a very quick one. I just want to touch on the South Africa's 2023 Blue Drop Watch report that also indicates the decline of 15% of the water infrastructure and sanitation. We know that there are pockets of excellence. We had gone to the Magali's water purification plant. They've got a state-of-the-art laboratory and technicians and, bioscientists who look at the quality of water, and all they do is to live and breathe water, and they understand how it works. Why do you think that we're still sitting with a situation where, one, we've got the sophistication of the technology, but yet there are areas where there's airborne water diseases that could be prevented, and the water quality is depreciating?
Well, to once is obviously also allocation of funding to the respective water activities, because when you look at many of the municipalities where you see a decay in the water infrastructure, this water infrastructure hasn't been maintained for many years. And it's like with everything, what you don't maintain, it's not going to perform going forward. In particular, when you look at a water system, you just mentioned the Magaliesburg ones, it's a complex system. It's not only, machines operating, but it's also bacteria. You need certain technologies, but also you need skills in order to run that kind of operation. And here, I must say, a lot of money is not spent in that area. And I do believe that with the recent events we had, specifically if you look at the cholera outbreak, the awareness has become much more severe in South Africa, that money has to be spent on water, because I don't know if you have been in Johannesburg and you were impacted by the water outage last week, and then you experience what it means when you don't have water. And you can hear, I have been impacted by the water outage, but it's because we need to increase the capacity of the system. And ideally, when you do these upgrades, you make sure that there can be digital monitored and also have the possibility to make it easier for the municipality to see where leaks are occurring, to respond faster, because that is all possible when you use digital systems, not only for revenue collection, but also for the management and the monitoring of the infrastructure.
Okay, so when do we see the implementation of this tech system or tech-driven system, including AI and the Internet of Things, making sure that water is in the sewer, sanitation is maintained adequately and it starts working?
Well, from our side, what we obviously do is we have a lot of awareness campaigns, specifically in the water field. We have a few water utilities, unfortunately not in South Africa, but on the African continent, which are already using that kind of technology. For instance, in Ghana, which are ahead of what we currently do in South Africa. And we do believe that there is a possibility that also through public-private partnership, we can create the awareness of what is needed within the water skills. Look at the NEPAD Business Foundation, for instance. They have a dedicated water working group working with the municipalities to understand exactly what kind of technology is out there, what kind of limitations are in these municipalities. And they're currently, for instance, working with Polokwane, but also with the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality to really assist them and identify how they can smarten up through these kind of technologies their waterworks.
Thank you so much for your time. We're speaking to Siemens Sub-Saharan Africa CEO Sabine Dall'Omo, talking about the technology that they're utilizing to provide quality and portable drinking safe water in parts of the continent, saying that technology and the Internet of Things is the way to go so that you can monitor the resource where there are leaks and you can prevent unnecessary wastage and also preserve the infrastructure.